Hello friends, welcome to my channel, Recap Stories. Today, we are discussing a story that starts with a man named Victor, who comes from a small European country called Krakosia and arrives at New York Airport for some work. When he hands his passport to the immigration officer, the machine shows it is invalid. He is then taken to a security officer who asks Victor various questions. However, Victor cannot answer because he does not know English and only speaks his native language. The officer then keeps his passport and ticket. Another officer named Frank Dixon, who is in charge of customs and border protection at the airport, explains to Victor that a civil war has erupted in his country, and the government has been overthrown. Due to this, Victor's travel visa has been revoked, and his passport is now invalid. But because he does not understand English, Victor cannot comprehend what the officer is saying. The officer gives him meal vouchers, a calling card to speak with his family, and a pager, leaving him in the airport lounge. Still confused, Victor does not fully understand what is happening. When he hears his country's national anthem on TV, he goes to watch and sees news about his country's situation, but since the news is in English, he does not understand it. He seeks help from people, but no one understands his language. Victor is now trapped in the airport, unable to return to his country or enter the United States. As he grows hungry, he notices a woman trying to close her bag and decides to help her, placing his vouchers nearby. As the vouchers fall, a janitor named Gupta comes by and throws them in the trash. When Victor sees this, he searches through the trash to retrieve them, but Gupta dismisses him, saying to come back next Tuesday. Hungry and unable to arrange food, Victor faces difficulty. At night, he looks for a place to rest and finds an under-construction gate, which he thinks is comfortable to sit by, but sleeping on chairs proves challenging. So, Victor takes out a knife, cuts the chairs, and makes a bed for himself, holding a can close as he falls asleep. The next morning, Victor visits the immigration office to apply for a visa, where he meets an officer named Torres. She informs him that his form has been rejected because he does not have a valid passport. While waiting in the airport's seating area, Dixon notices Victor. Dixon, who has recently been nominated for the position of field commissioner after the former commissioner's retirement, wants to avoid any negligence in airport security to secure his position. He points to the gate, telling Victor that security shifts exactly at noon and that the gate remains empty for 5 minutes, during which he could leave. Victor realizes Dixon's ploy through the cameras and decides to stay in the airport instead of leaving. Later, he meets a flight attendant named Amelia, who slips on the wet floor, and Victor helps her up before she leaves. Struggling with hunger and stress, Victor pushes carts to the machine for some money, managing to buy food and books to learn English. After days of constant effort, he begins to grasp English, and he can now understand the TV news. One day, as usual, he pushes carts to the machine, but another man takes them away. Dixon's efforts to get Victor out of the airport continue. One day, Victor, feeling extremely hungry, is approached by a man named Enrique, who works in the kitchen. Enrique offers him a deal. If Victor finds out Torres's likes and dislikes, he will give him food daily. Victor agrees and starts visiting the immigration department frequently to talk to Torres. The story continues as Victor, a man who has been stranded at the airport for months, finds himself increasingly entangled in the lives of others around him. One day, Officer Torres, who has noticed Victor's frequent visits to immigration, asks him who it is that brings him back every day. Victor simply replies, "Someone who loves me very much," before quietly walking away. Later, Victor speaks with Enrique and shares a warning, advising him not to break Torres' heart, as her last boyfriend had deceived her. Victor implies he won't tolerate any betrayal from Enrique. Time passes, and once again, Victor encounters Amelia, the woman he previously helped when she slipped on the wet floor. Victor notices her arguing over the phone, and it becomes clear that she is caught up in a difficult relationship with a married man who has been stringing her along with false promises of leaving his wife. Seeing her distressed, Victor offers Amelia his handkerchief. As they start talking, she asks what he does for a living, and Victor humorously responds, "I just walk from one building to another." Amelia, misinterpreting his answer, assumes he's some kind of building contractor. Amelia invites Victor to dinner, but he hesitates, unable to afford it. Misunderstanding, Amelia believes Viktor is simply a humble, kind-hearted man and apologizes before leaving. Inspired, Viktor decides he'll find a way to earn some money so he can take Amelia out. He goes from store to store within the airport, searching for work, but without a valid passport, he is rejected at every place. Finally, he finds work as a painter. One night, Enrique invites Viktor to a small gathering with other airport staff, including Gupta, a janitor who has his own suspicions about Viktor. During the get-together, they playfully place Viktor under an X-ray scanner to verify if he's hiding anything suspicious, but all they find is a small box labeled, music. When Viktor explains its contents, the group laughs. Despite being stranded, Viktor begins to find a sense of belonging among these new friends. Another day at the bookstore, Viktor again meets Amelia, who is picking up a history book about Napoleon. They exchange pleasantries, and when Amelia suggests lunch again, Viktor agrees. Suddenly, Amelia's pager goes off, and she hurries away, leaving Viktor with a newfound sense of affection for her. As the months roll by, Viktor has become somewhat of a familiar face at the airport. One day, a man is caught trying to take unauthorized medicine back to his home country for his ailing father. Customs confiscates the medicine, and in desperation, the man attempts to harm himself. Viktor is called upon to help calm the man, as they share a similar language and cultural background. Viktor learns that the medicine is crucial for the man's father, who could die without it. Although Viktor pleads with Dixon to allow the man to take the medicine, Dixon refuses, citing regulations. With a stroke of ingenuity, Viktor advises the man to tell Dixon the medicine is for his pet goat, knowing U.S. laws allow the transport of animal medication. Upon learning this, Dixon has no choice but to release the medicine, although he grows increasingly frustrated with Viktor. Furious, Dixon threatens Viktor, warning him to stay out of his way. At that moment, a senior officer intervenes, reminding Dixon to keep his composure and perhaps learn from Viktor's compassion. Word of Viktor's good deed spreads, earning him newfound respect from the airport staff. Soon after, he learns that Amelia will be returning in a few weeks. Excited, he and his friends prepare to welcome her back. Finally, Amelia arrives, and Viktor invites her to dinner. They share a memorable evening together, growing even closer. Viktor asks her to meet him again in 13 days, jokingly referencing Napoleon's habit of gifting meaningful items. Touched, Amelia agrees. In the meantime, Viktor becomes deeply intertwined in his friends' lives. Enrique and Torres's friendship has blossomed into something more, and the two plan to marry. Even Dixon, keeping a close eye on Viktor, realizes there's something between him and Amelia. On her next visit, Amelia meets Viktor at gate 67, but before that, Dixon reveals to her that Viktor has actually been living at the airport for the past 9 months. Heartbroken, Amelia confronts Viktor about hiding the truth. To explain, Viktor shows her a can containing autographs of 57 jazz musicians, fulfilling a dream his father once had. His father managed to collect signatures from 56 musicians, but one autograph, from musician Benny Golson, remained elusive. Viktor came to New York to fulfill his father's last wish. Moved, Amelia helps Viktor obtain a one-day visa to enter the city and find Benny Golson. Viktor excitedly invites Amelia to join him, but seeing her hesitation, he realizes she is still involved with her married lover. With his temporary visa in hand and his father's legacy close to completion, Viktor leaves the airport for New York, carrying memories of the friendships and connections he forged while waiting for the moment he could finally step outside. Amelia says goodbye to Viktor and tells him that she knows what Napoleon gave to his wife. She says that Napoleon gave her a locket with the words, "Just for you," engraved on it. Torres informs Viktor that he has been granted a one-day emergency visa, but it requires Dixon's signature for validation. When Viktor approaches Dixon for the signature, Dixon refuses, handing back his passport and ticket, and orders him to return to his country. Viktor insists on going to New York, but Dixon, already annoyed with him, angrily declares that if he doesn't leave, he will imprison his 3 friends. He threatens Viktor by revealing that one friend steals food for him, another plays cards with him at night, and the third, Gupta, is actually hiding in the airport after fleeing India, accused of killing a police officer. Deeply hurt, Viktor decides to return to his country. As Viktor prepares to leave, Gupta feels a surge of both sorrow and anger. He knows that Viktor is only here to fulfill his father's dream. Furious, Gupta calls Viktor a coward. At that moment, an officer arrives and explains everything to Gupta, making him realize that Viktor is on his way to New York to accomplish his father's wish. In a dramatic act, Gupta rushes onto the runway and blocks the flight, causing a delay. The police arrive and decide to deport Gupta back to India, but Gupta signals Viktor to continue to New York. Moved by Gupta's sacrifice, Viktor resolves to head to New York and proceeds to the exit gate. The entire airport staff, who now admire him, gathers around him. Near the gate, security personnel stand in position, and Viktor fears he might not make it through. Suddenly, Dixon instructs on his walkie-talkie, "Arrest him." A senior security officer approaches Viktor, removes his coat, gestures for Viktor to wear it, and says, "Go on." Surprised, Viktor steps through the gate for the first time, setting foot on New York soil. Dixon watches in frustration, running to catch him, but by that time, Viktor has already stepped outside. As he exits, Viktor sees Amelia. They silently exchange farewells, and by the time Dixon arrives, Viktor is already seated in a taxi. Dixon, in resignation, manages a faint smile, and Viktor heads straight to where he meets jazz musician Benny Gold and collects his autograph, finally fulfilling his father's lifelong dream. In the closing scene, we see Viktor sitting in the taxi as the driver asks, "Where to?" Viktor replies, "Home." After 9 long months, Viktor returns to his homeland, bringing the film to a heartfelt end. I request that we reach 10,000 subscribers on my channel as soon as possible. We hope that you all will enjoy this video and give it a like. Please subscribe to our channel. We are truly grateful for your loving comments. See you in the next video.